Here's a short story about a young boy who did not like school, read by Tuli Mashazi. There was a young boy named Lifa who never liked being in class. He would be dropped off at the gate on time, dressed in proper uniform with a clean bag full of neatly covered books and a healthy lunch, but he would never go into class. If any teacher saw him and tried to move him to class, he would run faster than Caster Semenya or Usain Bolt, and thus he ran every single day that year. As time went on, all the teachers became aware of Lifa's allergy to the classroom environment. They all wondered what the problem could be, because he looked like a well-provisioned child. There was no sign of lack or stress on him. It had been said that both his parents were people of high social standing with good accomplishments of their own. It therefore boggled the mind why this apple had fallen so far from the tree. Lifa's class teacher decided to call a meeting with his parents to let them know about their child's behavior and how this could possibly affect his prospects of passing the grade. She had hardly finished the first sentence when the parents turned on her. "I hear you, ma'am, but I have one question for you," said the father, standing to his feet as if ready to attack. "Do you have any proof that it was actually Lifa you saw, and not any other child who looks like him?" He was advancing towards the principal's desk. One would have been forgiven for thinking that he wanted to climb on top of it. "Where is the evidence that my son has not attended class since the term began? I personally drop off this boy at the gate every morning together with my lovely wife." As he said those words, he scooped his wife's hands into his, a ludicrous show of their drunken love. "Tell her, love," she shouted, her hand hanging from his like a broken limb. The excitement she displayed made the principal and the teacher exchange glances and a signal to be silent and not engage, because she looked like someone who knew her husband's rage from experience, and she knew not to disagree with him, even when his actions cut across the grain of common sense. Teachers like to throw false accusations at children who cannot defend themselves. Lifa buried his head between his legs, partly avoiding his parents' eyes and also embarrassed at his parents' drama. They continued with their one-sided quarrel, while the principal and his subordinates sat like mannequins at a shop window. When they were satisfied with releasing all the burdens on their hearts, the husband said, "Let's go, babe. We have more important things to do. We really don't have time for this kind of nonsense." The annoyance in the man's voice was heavy. He picked up his car keys from the table and banged the door shut behind him. Poor Mrs. Patrice was left stunned, her jaw almost hitting the floor. The principal advised all staff to leave the child alone. He would find a way to resolve the issue. He offered a sincere apology to Miss Patrice, encouraging her not to stop caring about every learner's future just because of this unique set of parents. Sometimes the love that parents have for their children blinds them to the truth they should know about them, he said as he addressed the teachers. And sadly, there isn't much that we can do about it. The young boy continued skipping class, and all the teachers ignored it for the sake of their own sanity. The principal called the boy once to see if he could talk some sense to him, but there was no positive result from that pep talk. He denied everything the principal put forward. He would have denied his own name and surname. "Are you not Lifa Mutsamai of grade 8P?" the principal asked firmly. No, sir. Yes, I am, sir, but I didn't bunk any class today." He was restless and his eyes were looking everywhere except the principal, a clear sign that he was feeling cornered. Why are you not in class then? The principal in frustration. I'm on my way to the toilet, sir, he answered, somewhat nonchalantly. Is that the way to the toilet? The principal pressured the boy. No, sir. I passed by grade 8M collecting my scissors from my friend because we have art class in the last period. The principal stared at him, motionless, wondering to himself what the real problem with the boy could be. It was on one fateful day that everything changed for Lifa, his parents, and the school. A loud scream was heard. Everyone heard it, but they did not know whose it was and where it had come from. But within a few minutes, while the field workers were still investigating, Lifa's parents' car stopped with a screech, scarcely knocking the school gate down on its way in. One foot was already out of the car when it stopped, right in front of the principal's office. I want to know who hit my son, he demanded loudly, his voice shaking with rage. Even his wife looked terrified, and she kept a safe distance, although she also wanted to know who had hit her son. The principal was too stunned to respond, so he stood firmly at the door, his arms folded across his chest as if to maintain composure, while also defending his territory. He was too impatient to wait for the principal to respond, so he went back to his phone and was heard saying, Where are you, Lifa? He then announced to no one in particular. He says he's in the bush behind the old toilets. Everyone froze for a moment, confusion engraved on their faces. What is he doing there? Asked Miss Petrus, her big eyes about to fall out of their sockets. It was those big eyes that made her appear very gentle and caring. She was the one teacher who never offended the learners. They all loved her. Everyone ran in the direction of the bush behind the old toilets. The old toilets were the pit latrines that were built many years ago when the school was still new. They had later been abandoned because they were far off from the classrooms and also dangerous because they were wide open, unlike the modern flush systems that were donated by the local business community. The group that arrived first had to search for him for a few minutes before the bush because the bush was rather thick, but his loud screams helped. He was found rolling in the sand, his hands holding onto the sides of his face, a posture of severe pain. What happened? Who hit you? His father asked, breathless, when he had finally caught up with the crowd that ran first. He, she, he, it slapped me with a clap and took away my bread and ran away and hit my head with the lunchbox. Everyone was speechless and motionless. The boy continued rolling in the sand. Who? A whole chorus came from the crowd. What Levi had said was confusing to everyone, so he stopped for a split moment, revealing a thick belt of swollen flesh where he had been hit across the face, and pointed at the branches above the crowd. Everyone turned just in time to see a little monkey chipping away at a ham and cheese sandwich before it used both its hands to swing from branch to branch as it ran away from the crime scene. It is said that the subsequent roar of laughter was heard at the neighboring school. Those who heard it say it went on for a good few minutes before it died down. By that time, it was already time to dismiss. Hence, the learners went back to their classes, still breathless with laughter, picked up their school bags, and went home, still tittering at the thought of the events of the day. It is said that neighboring schools heard the story, and the rate of bunking reduced quite impressively. As for the boy Lifa, legend has it that he finished his matric and passed with flying colors because he was always in class. If you obey, you will do well. But if you fail to obey the school rules, well, The monkeys will put you in line for us. That was the principal's favorite line at morning assembly. And those who remembered the incident would laugh a little every time these words were said. The end.